So we're going to start off with a little meditation, and I want you to just check out of the things you've been doing today and check into this. Just start paying attention to what your body's doing. As you look at things and as you notice things, stuff shifts and changes. Feel what your body needs. What you need right now. Okay, I need some water, so I'll be right back. You guys should get water too. So as you notice your breath, see if you can pinpoint the exact place that it's going in. Where's your breath going to? Is it going to your chest? Is it going to your solar plexus? Or is it going to your stomach, your sacral chakra? Where's your breath going? And as you notice this, focus on that place and watch it dissipate throughout the rest of your body as you realize that you are a hollow tube. Your body is a hollow tube. And at this point, you can call in any of your guides, your higher self, any spirit guides of love and compassion to be with you during this time traveling session. And fill up this space within you, because you are a hollow tube, a hollow bone, as they say in shamanism. And as you breathe, you start to notice that you're not inhaling or exhaling. There is no in and out. You're simply a hollow tube that's contracting and expanding. Contracting with the inhale and expanding with the exhale. And as you do this, you can move your hands in front of you to symbolize or to go with, or to flow with the expansion and the contraction. And as you expand and contract, see how far out you feel. Start with just on the edge of your skin. Become aware of how that is expanding and contracting. And as you become aware of that, a little further beyond your skin, to your energy body, notice as you expand and contract from the center tube of your body, notice how far out you can feel. Go out as far as you can till you feel maybe someone else on this webinar who you happen to know, or to me, since I think most of you know me. And just kind of let those, on the expansion, let those feelers out there and be like, hey, what's up? And on the contraction, bring it in and expand. So now this is an important type of breathing because we don't actually inhale and exhale. And when you think of breathing as inhaling or exhaling, you're actually letting go of some of your power, and you're giving your power away to the breath, because an inhale and an exhale, the focus is on the breath and it's on air, when really truth is that we are a being, an energetic being, and the focus is on us. And so when you focus on what your body is doing, you will notice that you have a hollow tube within you, and that you are this shape in front of you. We're going to talk all about that for the next couple hours. Okay, it's super exciting. Okay. Okay, and so you can come back to yourself, and throughout this session, just kind of allow yourself to naturally expand and contract in the ways that your body wants to, and in the ways that your mind wants to. Okay. And the important thing is just always to like listen to yourself and listen to your body. Okay, so I'm Christy Garvey of Earth Magic Copper Crowns, and this is a bonus training on time travel for my accelerated self-empowerment mentees in the ISIS Initiation Advanced Magic Program. So if you are not in the program, I am offering you this special opportunity to witness this advanced training. So questions and comments will be limited to those currently enrolled in this program. And those watching this webinar, your mission is to soak up all of the seeds, and some of the information may seem over your head at this point, and I will not be slowing down for you. And so this is an important teaching style called seeding, where we teach to the highest student and allow the lowest student to reach a higher vibration in their own time. And so this will naturally pull you up a vibratory level. So hang on and prepare for your head to swirl, but trust that it will all become clear at the right time. So for many of you, you will already know much of what I will share. However, it's the way I put it all together that will be new and fascinating for you. So with complete and utter disregard to whatever level you are currently at, you will receive massive downloads during this training. So to everyone not in the current ISIS initiation program, and by the way, that is the goddess Isis, not the other one, to everyone not in wave 1 of the ISIS initiation program, you will be on mute the entire time. I will not be stopping for your questions, but I invite you to have an active discussion with each other in the chat box if you are joining on the computer or on the app. If you're joining by phone alone, you will not be able to see the amazing video. So if that's your only option, you can stay on and listen to us, and then you can check the replay to see the video part of what you missed. And so I invite you to have a super active discussion in the chat box. I will not be looking at it, but I'm so excited to go back and read it all. And I will use the information to inform ways I can improve this webinar or future lessons that I could offer. And your experience during this webinar on time travel is so important to me. So please watch this webinar like a movie and react or banter with each other in the chat box. And I want to see your reactions in the chat box. They can be like, whoa, what the fuck? Yeah, I get it. And like your own like commentary or your personal shares. Like I invite you to just type whatever you want in there, okay? So we will do a few shamanic journeys. So I invite you to join along and to do them with us to the best of your current abilities. And for those in the wave 1 of the ISIS Initiation Accelerated Self-Empowerment Program, please do not look at the chat box because it will probably be a little bit distracting. And please remain fully present with me throughout these next 2 hours. So please don't multitask, eat dinner, or fold laundry. Please stay with me as I guide you on an epic journey where you realize that you already know how to time travel. Okay, so now before we totally get started, I want to know where everyone is from. So please comment in the chat box where you're from. Dun, dun, dun. Denver, sweet. San Diego, Minnesota, more Minnesota. Awesome. Cool, cool. And make sure to check if you're sending me private messages or sending to everyone. So you want to check that when you're doing some messages there. Yeah. Cool. California, Colorado. Awesome. Awesome, you guys. Okay. Cool. So for those listening on the call but not in the current ISIS initiation program, I invite you to try a fun thing. Okay, so anytime I ask a question, try to answer it. And so we'll start out with the first question, okay? So what is time? Okay, so what is time? So time is the rainbow bridge. It is the 4th dimension or the 4th density. This is this portal, and it's like this portal into like higher space and time. And some people get there through plant medicine. Some people get there through plant medicine like ayahuasca. Some people do mushrooms to get there. And by get there, I mean like it's actually this like portal that you go through when you're on plant medicine, and then you go through to these different places. It's literally called the Rainbow Bridge, and it's 4th dimension in time. But we're talking today about how to do this totally fucking sober within the self, how to understand yourself so well and how to tap into things and to be able to go really deep totally sober without substances to go through the time portal. Okay. So the shape of time is a toroidal sphere. So this is the shape of everything. So as above, so below. We know that so everything that is the same in the stars is the same pattern in the smallest thing. So as the smallest thing, we have the same pattern, which is the atom. And then it goes into the flower of life. We have the star tetrahedron. These are all the same basic shape, which is the toroidal sphere. So then we have Metatron's cube, the Merkaba. And in 2-dimensional here, this is super toroidal sphere. Okay, so it's all the same shape. The toroidal sphere is the same shape of all energy. Yep, that's right, all energy. So all energy fields have this shape. You, the human, has this shape. The heart has this shape. All chakras have this shape. And by the way, just so you know, on this picture, the root chakra does not go that way. The root chakra goes up and down. The root chakra and the crown chakra are the only ones that go up and down, and the other ones go out the other way. But each chakra is shaped like a toroidal sphere. And light is shaped like a toroidal sphere. Electricity is shaped like a toroidal sphere. The earth is shaped as a toroidal sphere, has this energy shape. And the universe is also a toroidal sphere. And you know what? So is time, right? So, oh, I'm gonna turn on my little laser pointer here. Okay, so time is also shaped like a toroidal sphere. So in the middle, you have the present. Out at the top, you've got the future, and back in the bottom is the past, right? And this is the fourth dimension, 4 dimensions, the time toroidal sphere. Okay, so if you think about this, it actually kind of makes a lot of sense, because sometimes you can see where you're going, but you need to seemingly go backwards to get there, right? It might feel like we're going backwards, but we're really going forwards. Okay, whew, yes. Okay, so these are 2 very important time portals that I want to share with you. Nostalgia and deja vu. Super, super important time portals. Okay, so nostalgia. What does nostalgia feel like? Okay, so when you see this logo down here for the ISIS initiation program, that means I'm going to call on people from the ISIS initiation program to like talk and stuff. So would anyone like to, oh, come on, mouse. Would anyone like to, give me a second, share, what do they think nostalgia feels like? Allow participants to unmute themselves. Yeah. Okay, I think you can unmute yourself now if you want to talk. Otherwise, I'll just call on people. So let's see. Oh, there you go.
Oh, so this is Tara, and nostalgia to me, really, I get it mostly from smells. So whenever I smell something that might remind me of, living back in Virginia, or a smell that might remind me of, the mountains or the desert, and it just feels like I've been here before.
Totally. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Tara. That's great. Yeah. Does anyone else have a share?
I'll share. It's Meryl.
Thanks, Meryl.
So I totally relate to what Tara was saying. And then to add to that, I get a deeper sense of nostalgia when I'm always been when you get kind of that nerdy feeling about old stuff. And it's just exciting, and like I can't tell you how many like weird old houses I've seen, and I'm just like, I have to get into that house. I have to like be in it and smell it and like feel what it feels like. And I don't know, and I do wonder if those are like could be past life memories, or or just like even in those areas, am I just experiencing the past energy of it, and I'm just picking that.
Totally. Yeah. So what I'm really hearing is this, like this, it activates your senses.
Yes.
Yeah, your like senses start doing this thing. Excellent. Awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's a good point. Yeah, because it does kind of touch on, it's like you're seeing it and you're touching it and you're smelling it, and yeah, it's like touches on all of that.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna add smell. Like I'll pick up a certain scent and it just kind of brings you back, you know, somebody you've been with before, but you can't really put a face to it. That has been happening a lot lately.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. Okay. I'm gonna. Hey. Yeah. Stupid thing. Meryl, can you mute yourself, please? Cool. Thanks. Okay. Sweet. Okay, we're gonna be like speeding through a whole lot of stuff, you guys. So, oh man, this thing is driving me nuts. It won't go away. Okay. Well, anyway. Okay. So, what does deja vu feel like?
Definitely that you've done that, been there, like you kind of take a second guess, like haven't I already been through this situation, done this,
Totally.
I said
Katie,
this exact same thing.
Katie, I super love you. Did you hear the part where only the people in the current program are gonna be participating?
Sorry about that.
It's okay. I love you. Thanks. Cool. Anyone from the current ISIS initiation program? Cool. Ryan, looking at you.
No, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. No, it is actually what, Katie was right though. It's it's like you're just feeling like I've been here before, I've done this, or I already knew this was gonna happen. I get that a lot where it's something happens and then I think I've dreamt this. That happens very frequently. It's like, oh, I somehow I dreamt it a while ago, I forgot about it, and now it's happening.
Totally. Yeah. So, awesome. Thanks, Ryan. Please mute yourself. Cool. Yeah. So, you guys, doesn't it feel kind of like nostalgia, but like of the future? It's kind of got like the same vibe and the same feeling of nostalgia in the future. Okay. Yeah, so like I've been getting deja vu my entire life, and I started getting deja vu when I was a kid, and they started out as these like super tiny little flashes, and like the only thing that was really clear is that I was being linked into something, and that I was getting all of these pictures and images and thoughts and all this stuff really quickly that I didn't understand, and didn't understand at all, and it was just kind of like blah, right there. And so now what has been happening so it was kind of like, being this like small dot, and then all this stuff is like going on, and you're like this small dot going, what the fuck? And so now, as I've been really like understanding deja vu and practicing not traveling nonlinear time, what's happened for me is that and now I'm older, and everything. So where I'm at now when I experience deja vu is I start to like, well, at first what happened is it was like I could feel I was like in the middle of a deja vu, and sometimes I would even remember when I first had this deja vu and the first link to it, and whoa. Looks like I'm drawing all over the place here. Okay, right? So I would get these like time hopping kind of things that would be these link up things that would happen, and they wouldn't totally quite make sense, but then they started making more and more sense. And then now where I'm at is they happen, and sometimes I am almost fully cognitive during them. I get full images, full pictures, sometimes even words from myself now. I get like all of these different things that happen. And like it's this total time hop kind of thing that happens when I get deja vu. So is there anyone else in the current ISIS initiation program who would like to share what deja vu is like for them, or if they have an interesting deja vu story, a short story? If you're talking, we can't hear you.
I guess just in the interest of somebody sharing, I just really sometimes with my deja vu experiences, it's funny because you've been there before, and you're like, oh my gosh, it feels so real. But then you're like, oh wait, how did this end up? And then so it's like you almost have a chance to kind of like change the ending. And you know, mostly it's never been in a really like bad situation in my experience. But there has been times where I'm like, wait, did this? I can't remember if this had a good or bad ending, and if I felt positive about it or not. So that's been my experience.
Right, totally. And then it kind of brings up this thing that I will discuss later is like, what is the point of it? Like, are we getting these messages so that we can change the future? Or are we getting them so that we can make different decisions? Or like, what exactly are they and what's going on?
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that, Dara. Okay, so for me, this all really started when I was about like 8 years old. I opened up this book and it said, practice sending messages back to yourself, because the more your current self is doing this, the more your future self is sending messages to your present self. Okay, so, right, this is like our future self is sending messages to us because we are sending messages to our past self. And so the more we do that, send messages back, then by nature, the future self is going to be doing that too. And so when I read that when I was about 8 or so, it was like never something that I was actively doing, sending messages back, but I was passively doing this quite often. So you see, we already have all of the superpowers. It's only about actively and intentionally using them. That's the only shift. And then practice, and like doing it all the time. So when I started really like cracking open into my spiritual awakening, it came with like realizing, oh fuck, I haven't looked at this really deep trauma. And so for me, I was healing this trauma where when I was 16, I was sleeping with a 32-year-old who was feeding me meth and controlling me through that and manipulating me. And so I started to go back and heal, started to go actively back to that place and heal that place. Because while the 16-year-old me kind of thought I was cool at the time, I didn't realize how badly that had actually fucked me up until I started looking at it and all the ripples that it had made in my life. So going back to your past self in trauma and comforting that piece of you is actually like a trauma therapy practice that therapists use, and that, you know, yeah, it's a thing. So we're going to do a journey to do just this right now. So think of a minor trauma that you had. So there's a difference between power loss and soul loss. Okay. There's a difference between power loss and soul loss. And a power loss is when someone like kind of takes a piece of power from you. It doesn't leave like an extremely deep wound like soul loss does. So soul loss is where like something really bad happens to you, and like or not even something really bad, but just something like really important, and like a piece of your energetic body of your soul leaves. And power loss is a little different in that it's a different type of energy, and it's some of your power is leaving. So think of one of these minor traumas, so like a power loss. So think of something like that, and think of this power loss. So we will be doing a journey to go back to this part of us and give it whatever we truly needed then. So this may be a hug, some comforting words, or it may become clear what that part needs when you actually get there. So it might be something that isn't clear right now, and it will become clear later. Okay. So we're going to do a shamanic journey, and if you've never done a shamanic journey before, you can kind of just like listen along and meditate and go back to the place, but you always want to start off with going into your power place, which is a place that you feel safe in nature. And so everyone who is already experienced doing journey, and if you're able to with your current setup in joining the webinar, please get ready to journey and go visit a piece of yourself. Okay, let's go. Oh, and I know the audio is not that great. I'm sorry. Okay, so as you return from your power plays, make sure you are always coming back the way that you're going in. And so we have plenty of time to do some shares. So I'm going to share first. So I went back in time to this little girl version of me it was my very first school play when I was in first grade, and I was the smallest person in the class, so they made me go in this baby carriage, this like baby thing. And so I didn't want to be the baby in the baby thing, but because of my stage fright, what happened was I had one line and I couldn't get past the giggles to just fucking say it. So everyone ended up having to say my lines, and that felt like this big power loss. And so I was able to go back there and kind of like hold that little piece of me and be like, don't fucking worry about it. Like, this is gonna lead to some like really cool and really awesome things, and you don't know what's going on right now, and I do, and it's totally okay. Yeah. So that feels pretty good. And so now I'd like to invite any of the members in the current ISIS initiation program to share any of their experiences or what piece they went back to or what happened for them.
I can jump in. I'm still kind of trying to process a little bit.
Cool. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah. So I went back to time in high school. A couple just was in my buddy's basement. We were hanging out and getting ready to go out or something on like a weekend night or something like that. And I just remember I have this this strong feeling. I was feeling very much confident, kind of powerful, assertive in myself of that night. And I don't know, just joking around and had been, being a little bit, I don't know, uh, kind of a little abrasive, kind of like a little bit of an arrogant attitude, but I was just feeling really good about myself that night. And I made some offhanded comment about, like waiting for one of the guys to show up. And, one of their friends looked at me like really directly. He's like a nice guy, really quiet guy. He's like, man, you're a dick. And I remember that just like shut me down, and I felt really horrible on the inside, and just sort of like totally sapped all that that energy, that good power I had. And so I went back to that and just I was just talking to myself a little bit, saying, hey, this is something you have to deal with. You have to figure out how to work through this with that through your whole life, of how finding that balance of being powerful and assertive in yourself, but not stepping over boundaries. I think some that is a problem for me, because sometimes I can be abrasive or arrogant or just too much, and actually and hurt people a little bit when I get in that mode. I have to finding that balance. I talked to myself a couple of times through it, and it almost started to feel like the past was changing a little bit. That now that I revamp it and I watch it happen again, and then the person that was me is hears the comment, but then doesn't take it as personally. And it's like, okay, yeah, I gotta figure out, maybe I stepped over a line, but it's not gonna hurt me too much. So yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Ryan. Is finding a balance with expressing yourself authentically something you're currently working on?
Yeah, definitely. Because I think, for anyone, I'm a Scorpio for one thing, and I think that part of my power comes from a darker place, which a lot of people find off-putting or don't understand it. And I have to find out how to, I think it's a matter of understanding how I can properly harness it and, you know, not offend people too much, but just not, you know, be holding back so much that I don't feel like I'm expressing myself.
Totally, yeah. Awesome, yeah, thanks for sharing. That's a good one. And it's nice to hear that it's already kind of blended into some healing in the present. Sweet. It looks like Mariko's on. Would she like to share?
That's funny. I was actually going to jump in. I read my mind, I guess.
Yeah, I felt it.
But yeah, I did want to say that I resonate with what Ryan just said about like that balance and, you know, like expressing yourself while not like, but in a way that is feels good both to you and doesn't like just hurt other people unnecessarily, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's not what mine was about though.
So what was yours about?
I couldn't really think of anything, so I just kind of asked to be taken to wherever would make the most positive impact in my life now to heal, and ended up in high school at the time. I don't know, I hadn't really thought of this time in quite a while, but I had drank way too much with a friend, and like this friend was my enabler. I don't know.
You drank too much with a friend, and it was a friend who was enabling you a little?
Yeah, that was like, we were, I don't know, it was one of those relationships. It was not a healthy one for either of us, but I stayed in it because of like, she hooked me up with like the party scene, and I was using that to like escape my depression and like pain and stuff. So that was kind of like, it took me back to that drinking with her and this one time where I don't remember parts of it, like drank so much, kind of blacked out. I know it was, I don't know, but we came back to my place and she was staying the night, and like in the middle of the night I like felt like I was gonna be sick, and she's like, no, don't go out there, just like throw up in your trash can and I'll go like cover for you. And like it was, I don't know. It was just like an unpleasant, I mean, that's just a memory all around.
Sounds like it. So what was the thing that piece of you at that point needed that you were able to do yourself?
Well, it was interesting. I have kind of a phobia of throwing up, but I went back to that place.
Right.
But none of that was there for my present self. And I was able to just like be like, hey, it's okay. I just kind of rub my past self on the back, like give her a hug, like some comfort. And then ended up giving her Reiki, like my past self a bunch of Reiki, and just kind of holding her and letting like that sorrow and like letting her cry and healing both like my past self, I guess me at the same time. Yeah, it's kind of comfort, like you can make it through and it's okay, it'll get better.
Yeah, and for context, would you like to explain a little bit about why throwing up has been such a fear for you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't completely understand it because it just all of a sudden came out of nowhere. I think it's right after having some recurring nightmares as a kid. Maybe it was like 8 or I don't know. I have no idea really. I was still in elementary school, probably 4th grade. But I started having these horrifying recurring dreams of rats eating my family. And then after those went away, I started having a phobia of other people throwing up, and kind of myself, but more freaking out about other people. I don't know. And it's like one of those unexplained, I've just had this feeling that it's from a past life. Like the recurring nightmare felt like a past life thing. And then it's just unexplained. Like I haven't had any current life experiences to cause me to have such a phobia of it.
Right? And the dreams about like rats eating your family, like, oh, that's so disturbing.
Right,
And
yeah, sorry about that.
yeah, I don't know. No. I know you were sharing with me before that it felt like maybe it was a past life during the plague.
Yes, I get that feeling, like something about plague, like the two are connected, the rats and the throwing up, like people being ill, like sickness just freaks me the fuck out.
Yeah.
I do get that plague vibe just because of the rats and like that.
Totally. Yeah, so it makes sense that you didn't even think of this time, and then it brought you to this time where it involves throwing up. So did you end up throwing up in that particular situation?
I did. It's
did?
like, yeah, it was unpleasant. And like, just because, yeah, I mean, I guess giving away my power to that friend who was both an enabler, and then she also, like, convinced me to, do something really uncomfortable and unpleasant. I don't know, and just like lying for me and like all this sneaking around and
Yeah. I understand. Where it sounds like, are you saying that you would have rather just like gone out and been sick in public and
bathroom.
in the bathroom, yeah, and risk being exposed and
Yeah, because I think like after conversations with my dad since then, like he knew that I had started drinking and smoking and stuff. He wasn't as ignorant as I thought back then. I thought I was being sneakier than I was. So he probably even knew, and like maybe I would have. I don't know what would have happened. Who knows? But I think the honesty and like just there's probably part of me that was really sick of doing that and drinking too much to avoid my problems and causing more pain to avoid other pain.
yeah. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, so that's called compound trauma, when we avoid pain and then other pain is created. It's called compound trauma. And so as you can imagine, it sounds like Mariko has a lot of compound trauma from, even a past life trauma, and that's cool. She's been able to like start healing that through going the other way of looking through the fear and unraveling all that compound trauma, which is the fun adventure that we're on, right? Okay, so we have time for one more share from someone who's currently in the ISIS initiation program.
I can share.
Is that Meryl?
Yeah. So it's funny because my mind went directly to this moment, and even when you're talking about minor traumas to soul retrieval trauma, and to me it feels like a minor trauma, and then when I actually thought about sharing it, I was like, this kind of sounds fucked up. So but and then that kind of makes me realize, like, man, my soul trauma is like really bad. Then if this is like a minor, this is kind of like a step towards the soul trauma. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know. You're trying to go to like surface level stuff, and you're like, oh, this surface level stuff is really bad.
Yeah.
The deep stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, because so it's funny that yours was connected to a play. Mine was also connected to doing a play in middle school. It wasn't my first play, but I was probably about 12, almost 13, super boy crazy, but like not very popular, really. Like I hung out with people that were mean to me, it was like Mean Girls. Just, as long as you're with the popular people, it doesn't matter how they treat you.
Right, yeah.
And so when one of the guys that was working, like doing backstage stuff, who was kind of cute, started flirting with me, I was like, I jumped on that. And unfortunately, it led to like a little incident outside, and there were actually two people standing there because it looked like we were goofing around. Like we were just goofing around, preteens. Your flirting is like fighting. So we were goofing around like that, and all of a sudden he has me on the ground and is like holding my arms down on the ground. And this is where I realized, I was like, oh, this got fucked up. And and I'm like, ha ha ha, yeah, very funny, blah 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 blah. Get up. And he's like, still laughing, like no, like pinning me down. And then I felt like I'm getting increasingly madder, like get the fuck off of me. And then I had to get like really mad and start crying basically for him to get up. And then everyone's like, oh, what's your problem? So I went to that moment, and then I went to a little bit before that and pulled myself aside and was like, you don't need that guy. You don't, I know, like, and then like gave her a big hug and was like, I know that like this is from not getting enough attention at home and like not feeling like, you know, you're worthy of anything, and I know it's going to take a long time to get there, but you got to try to do it for yourself. And so yeah, I just like put my hands on my heart and put her hands on her heart, and it was just like, you just got to protect it, because you're better than that dude, that's for sure. You know.
Yeah.
I know. Because then at this point, I basically, I'm probably messing with stuff I shouldn't be messing with, but I almost try to kind of rewrite it a little bit, where like I walked past that situation where I wasn't even gonna like put myself in that situation again. You know what I mean? Because I felt guilty for basically feeling like I put myself in that situation.
Yeah. Well, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Is that something that you've gotten better at over time?
Oh, yes, but no. At the same time, I've had to go through a lot of toxic, abusive relationships because I was so desperate to feel like admired and loved and all that kind of stuff, because I didn't know how to do that for myself.
Totally. Well, how about now?
Much better now.
Right, yeah.
Much better now, and I'm in a very healthy relationship, and I feel very independent within my relationship, which feels great. But there's still moments.
You know what?
You know? And
right.
I'm still triggered, and there's still moments.
Totally, and that's gonna happen. But so like what I'm hearing though is it sounds like you've already sent yourself messages that got you to where you are.
Oh yes, I've worked with.
Sounds like maybe you haven't totally sent all of them yet. So it sounds
right.
like it might be the beginning of you going back to other times and sitting with those pieces and being like, hey,
yeah,
what do you need right now? Because I know it's not that guy.
Right, because I don't think I even realized like those pieces I've worked on and worked with and have talked to and still talk to, like I don't even, it's like you take the healing for granted because you stopped thinking about that thing over and over and over again. So
yes.
now it's like, now these moments in between that I haven't been able to help heal are coming up.
Totally, and that's when you like switch into avoiding the trauma instead of like reliving it, you know, and so that like going into it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Meryl.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so so when I started to get a good habit of visiting my old sad pieces of myself, and then I started doing shamanic healing, then even more was revealed to me about time travel. So I was shown by my guides how and when to actively send back messages. So what we just did is we went to like a specific place, but there's this different time where we can like send messages, and it's like when we get that nostalgic feeling. So this is when a time portal's being opened up. And so I was shown this by my spirit guides. Let's see, not this past January, but the January before. I was shown by my spirit guides. I was back in Minnesota, and visiting an old friend who I hadn't seen since high school. And so I was already in that super nostalgic place. And I was driving to go meet her, and I pulled up towards this parking lot. And in that parking lot, it's a specific parking lot of a movie theater that I had this massive, intense deja vu. And in that moment, I was shown, and it became clear exactly how to send messages back to yourself in the past, and exactly how they're linked to deja vu, and exactly what to do. And so it all became clear. And what happened to me is this like portal opened up where I remembered getting this deja vu. And so I used the memory of what happened in the deja vu to inform myself what I needed to do now. And so this was a specific, really important part in my life where it was like just before things started falling apart with me and my ex-fiance. So when I was 18 to 21, I was engaged, and I was supposed to get married at 21. So I'm 33 now and not married currently. And so obviously that didn't happen, right? So, and so my life ended up going on a totally different trajectory where I thought I was going to get married at a young age and start a family, and letting go of that or deciding to go on a different path was extremely difficult, especially at such a young age, and basically going through a divorce when you're 21 and my peers not really understanding. So I needed a lot of support that just my friends could not give me because they didn't understand or couldn't conceptualize things. And so literally what happened was so cool. So I had gotten this massive message and download basically that I would be okay and that my life would be amazing and all this stuff. And so I had realized that all of this information that I was experiencing and how I felt in my life right now, I was like, oh my God, this feeling of how I feel right now is that message that I like got at that point in time. And so what happened is I took everything, all the knowledge in my being, all the knowledge in myself. I took all of the information about how great my life is, how happy I am, how how I had gone through all these things and everything was okay, and how I was exactly in the place that I wanted to be. And I took all of those feelings, and as I drove into this parking lot, in the exact place that I got that deja vu, I just blasted, whoosh, blasted all of these feelings, all of these emotions, all of these feelings into that point in time, and gave myself all of that information from right then and there into that, from that present moment back to the past. And so it was this like really cool moment where I realized how it like time travel works and how it just clicked. And nostalgia is this portal, this gate that's opening up to send ourselves a message back to the past. And so the exact same thing happened a week later when I was back in Portland. So my first time in Portland ever was passing through on a train. The train stopped in Portland. We got out for 10 minutes in the worst part of town, literally just walked around a little bit, and my feet touching the ground, I knew that it was home. It just felt like home. I didn't know why, it just was. And so I was just like, okay, it just is, but like I wasn't ready to move here because the specific schools I were looking at were not in Portland, right? So, and I didn't know anything about Portland. And so anyway, I ended up going to school in LA, totally different story. Anyway, so I had that feeling that I knew that was what my life was going to be, right? So I knew that this was home. So the week after I got back from Minnesota a year and a half ago, after sending that nostalgic deja vu thing in St. Paul, in Portland, I was on the MAX, which is our light rail here, and I was able, all of a sudden I got that nostalgic feeling again and realized, oh, this is that feeling, and I was right in the exact same place on that train line as I was walking when I first stopped into Portland. And so I took all the feelings of how much I love Portland and how much I love my life and where I was at, and I just blasted it into the ground, into the soil, to be there for me in the past when I walked and hit my feet on the ground. So that is what we're doing, and that's the power of it. Okay, so let's take a breath now, because we're gonna get into some really cool stuff. Okay. Okay, cool. So over the last couple of years, I've been I took an advanced shamanic training, and I've been getting more into shamanism and talking to the guides and learning some formal training about talking to my guides. So I know there's a lot going on in this slide, so I'm going to use the pointer now. So, we went to our power place. So in shamanism, there is middle world, upper world, and lower world. So in the middle world is your power place, okay? And in the lower world is the animals, spirit guides, and spirit helpers. And in the upper world are the alien and angelic spirit beings, okay? And so in the lower world, they give you survival skills and instincts. So the animal spirit guides in the lower world give you survival skills and instincts. And in the upper world, the alien and angelic spirit beings give you teachings and healings, okay? So this is all in non-ordinary reality. So in shamanism, there's ordinary reality, which is out here, and then there's non-ordinary reality, which is in this inner world place, okay? And you access it through your power place, which is your special place inside of you. And inside of your power place happens to be located in the middle world, okay? And the middle world is like this reality, but it is not physical. Okay, and so I started thinking about, why do some people have some animals that are different than other people, and then some people have the same animals? So we have many different spirit guides, animal spirit guides, and alien angelic spirit guides. We have like a whole crew of them around waiting to help us, okay? So they're always there to help us, okay? And so I started thinking about this whole thing and how this works and trying to put it all together. And what I realized is, like, I think, and this is something that like other people are starting to realize or think too, is that in the lower world is our past selves. So this is like when I go talk to my octopus spirit guide, I'm going to my memory bank of when I was an octopus and asking for the shit I learned so that it can help me now, right? And so we've got now, which is in the center, and we have the future up here, which is an upper world, and they give teaching and healings, and they speak telepathically, and they give downloads. So this like makes sense. That would be like our future self. And you probably know, or you are learning right now, that aliens are light beings, which are us in the future. Like that's just how it goes. And this is how this thing, when you put all the pieces together, okay? And so, yeah, so as you can see here, this shape, this gray shape behind here, this is the toroidal sphere, right? So in the center is now, above is the future, and down is the past. Okay, so this all started when I started thinking about, like, okay, is time linear? I like really don't buy into this whole like past, present, future, linear, like this just linear time thing, and then it just time being non-linear. Oh, this just like for me makes so much more sense. So before I knew this was a shape, I started realizing that time was nonlinear. And what happened to me, and so I'm going to tell you the green truck story, okay? And so this happened before I was formally talking to my guides. I was talking to my spirit guides, but I didn't really know what I was doing, and I didn't really know who they were, and I was kind of just doing my own thing. And so what happened was I was rock climbing with a friend, and that whole day I was really fearful and really afraid, and I didn't know why I was afraid. I had been totally fine the previous years and the previous time that we went rock climbing. I had done something way scarier and was not afraid just like a couple weekends before, and then this time I was like super fucking afraid, like paralyzed afraid. And I was just kind of like, what is this? Like, what's going on? And so when we left, like, from rock climbing, it was a 4-hour drive home. At the beginning of the drive, I was in the passenger seat and I closed my eyes and I was meditating in towards the sun and had my eyes closed. And this, like, I said, fucking tell me what's going on. I was like, help me, like, fucking help me. And I saw this like green alien face, and I was just like, are you my guide? And it was just like, yeah, I'm your guide. Whoa, no, I didn't even know to do that yet. Never mind, I didn't ask that. So anyway, but I was just like, hey dude, pretty sure you're my guide, like, tell me, why the fuck am I afraid? And so what I heard from this guy was accident. And then I was like, what? Really? When? Who? What? Where? Why? And he was like, dead silence. And I was like, okay, you're right. I like, you can't tell me those things. Fine. I was like, what else can you tell me then? And then I got green truck. And so I was like, oh, and I saw the front of a green truck smashed, like the front of it smashed was what I saw when they said the word green truck. And I was just kind of like, okay, well, I don't know what to do with that, but whatever. So later, what happened at the end of our ride is that we both realized all of a sudden that the other side of the freeway was totally, completely shut down. And then we were like, oh my God, what's going on? And we were driving up past it. There was like all these lights, all this stuff going on, this really big accident. And we go up there and we fucking pass this green truck with the front of it smashed in, and there's a body laying next to it. And we're just like, oh fuck, that's fucked up. And then like in my head I was just like, oh my God, like I knew that was gonna happen. And so I totally unpacked that whole event of knowing this green truck thing was going to happen. I unpacked that with my therapist. And what we realized is that my emotional body was feeling things before they happened in real time. And so my body was feeling this fear. And I had asked the guides why. I told them, like, I know I have this nonlinear time skill, you use it and tell me what's going on. And that's why they told me this stuff, right? And so I asked, why am I afraid? And so it told me about this accident. And so I was already feeling the death and the trauma and the chaos around that accident well before my physical body was actually there. Even the day before, because it was a whole weekend thing, and I was afraid the whole weekend. And so this is a big part of time travel, okay? So we're feeling into the future. So it's like remembering the future, okay? It's the same skill as remembering. So I have an amazing memory. I got really lucky. Sometimes I think it's great having an amazing memory, and sometimes it kind of sucks, but an amazing memory, right? And but that's remembering past things, right? But we can also remember the future, right? So we're feeling into the future. So sometimes we can manifest, and sometimes everything is just happening because it's already happened. And that's the what we're feeling into, the stuff that's already happened, or feeling into things to know how we can kind of make slight adjustments. So we're going to talk about big T and little t. And is there anyone from the current ISIS initiation program who would like to pipe in about this? You can take your time. If you remember what big T and little t is and how they relate to manifesting and what we have control over.
I actually don't remember, so I can't.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Red. Tara, I'm looking at you.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, like Ryan, I thought Ryan was gonna stay with on that one, so I don't actually remember it either, unfortunately. But Theo and I are sitting here listening, and we'd like to think that I'm the big T and he's the little.
Oh my God, that is so cute because you're Tara, big T, and Theo, little T.
Hi. I think.
Hi, Theo. Okay.
No, sorry. Go ahead and refresh our memories,
Well,
please.
I will refresh everyone's memories. So sometimes choices that we make are big T's. Sometimes they're big decisions, and sometimes they're little T's. Sometimes they're small decisions, right? So when we start to understand that we manifest our own realities and we can create our own realities, and that everything that we do has a consequence and a reaction, sometimes, so for me, what happened is I started getting scared about everything. I started worrying when I would pick a fork, and I'd be like, what if this fork is the wrong fork? What am I going to do if it's the wrong fork? And then I started being like, wait a minute, the fork isn't a big T. The fork is a small t. And so when we remember that there's little t's and big T's, we can kind of relax into the idea of how to manifest and change time, right? So, for example, with the green truck story, I knew that there was going to be an accident with the green truck, right? So this is something that was going to happen no matter what. And it the big T's are things that are going to happen, right? And the little T's are small crossroads that we can make different decisions on. And the T's are just stuff that are going to happen, right? So I wasn't shown about the green truck so that I could save the day and save someone's life. I was shown about the green truck so that I could, understand what was going on for me spiritually and why I was so afraid. And also I believe, yeah, anyway, so, yeah, so there's big T's and there's little T's. Some things are, big decisions that we make, and then also some things are just going to happen, and even if we try to avoid them, they're going to happen anyway. And then other things, little T's, are things that we can kind of have fun and play with. And so the little T's are our chance to have fun. And so if we realize that a little T is a little T and not a big T, then we can kind of relax and just kind of play with it and have fun and make decisions and do whatever because we're like, oh, this is a small T, it's not a big deal, right? And we can kind of just go with it. And when we think about big T's, well, we can't fucking control them anyway. So, you know, that's how it goes. So we can kind of relax there. And so just by keeping in mind this paradigm, we can sit with understanding time travel and how to use it and why we have this skill. Okay, so this brings me on to the next thing, which is the Mandela effect. Okay, and so the Mandela effect. Okay, so hold on. Okay, so with the T's, like, this is how we have multiple realities, but we're still all going to the same general place. And so I don't believe in total alternate realities, and I think that they're more subtle. So I think that there's subtle shifts in reality. So have you ever talked with someone about an event and you both remember it totally differently? So I don't think that one of you is right and one of you is wrong. I think that you're actually both right in the present moment, and I think that you both come from slightly different timelines. So that means that you experienced the same big T's, but you might have experienced different little T's. And so this is how we can have subtle shifts in reality. And so the Mandela effect is this thing that has come up recently. If you watch Joe Rogan, he talks about it a lot. Joe Rogan's awesome. And there's tons of stuff about it on Reddit. And yeah, so this is where, like, people remember things slightly differently than they are. And this is so many people. So Looney Tunes, so write in the chat box, do you think it's Looney Tunes, T-O-O-N-S, or Looney Tunes, T-U-N-E-S, right? And so this is what the Mandela effect is. And so, like, which one do you remember it being? And, oh, go away, there. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so which one do you remember it being? How do I? Okay, there's some things in there. Keep typing, keep saying things. I'm trying to join again via my phone. Okay. Okay, let's see what people said. Okay. Chat. Oh, I can't see anything. Well, whatever. Okay, cool. So Looney Tunes or Tunes. Okay, so you guys can write in there and you guys can see it in yourself. So, but I remember it with all the O's. And so apparently it was never with all the O's, it was like this. Okay, and do you remember this guy having a monocle or not having a monocle? Okay, so I remember him having a monocle. Go ahead and put in the chat like what you remember. And like I said, I have a really great memory. I like remember things. And so when we have like different answers, I think this is because like, so there's also the 2012 time hop. So apparently we shifted realities and we shifted timelines. There we go, timelines. We shifted timelines in 2012. But this is what I mean by subtle shifts, right? So it's not like we have like a totally different reality, except the Mandela effect is literally where this guy died and then he was released from prison. And so that is kind of a big example of Mandela effect. but yeah, okay. So right, I remember the monocle and totally don't remember that. Okay, and I wouldn't. And what is it? Was it the Berenstein Bears or the Berenstein Bears? Okay, so the pronunciation, right? I totally remember this one and not this one, but apparently it's different ones. Okay, and this is my favorite one. Pikachu. Does Pikachu have a black tail or not? Like, I literally was like, no, Pikachu for sure has a black tail. When Mariko and I went to the Halloween party in Japan, she was wearing a Pikachu costume and she totally fucking had a black tail. And then I like literally went back and looked at the pictures and like, Mariko, what color is the tail of your Pikachu costume?
Oh, I just put it in chat, but it's brown on the bottom and doesn't have the black.
Yeah, and I'm like, I literally was with you, and I'm like, sure that like it just came from a different timeline than you, right? Okay, so like what? This is crazy. Okay, so this is like subtle shifts of how reality is different. Okay, so it's not that like we don't have Pikachu. We have Pikachu. It's just in one version, Pikachu has this little brown thing on his tail. In this other version, which matches better, right? Pikachu has, was accidentally dipped in black paint, and the places that got in black paint were his ears and his tail. Clearly, that is what happened in the reality that I came from. So anyway, so there's subtle shifts in reality, okay? So in the ISIS initiation program, we're learning about how dimensions and densities, like, so there's not alternate dimensions and there's not really alternate realities. It's not like this hardcore other thing that you go to where there's like, what are those balloons in the sky thing that people think of in a different reality? I don't know the name of them, but they're the big hot air balloon ships. So what we're learning is
Zephyrs.
Thank you. Yes, those things. Thanks, Meryl. Yeah, so that if you watch The Fringe, like it's I guess kind of some subtle shifts there, but we don't have like this other actual alternate reality like the Man in the High Castle where like the Nazis won and Japan and Seattle, not Seattle, San Francisco looks like Tokyo. Like that is way, I don't believe that. So anyway, we're learning about the different densities and how these different realities and different shifts and things are more these like internal alternate dimensions, because all this stuff is happening and not happening at the same time, and it's like these like layers and layers and layers of your body, because like this is what reality actually looks like. Okay, is these different densities, these different layers, these different things, and these like little pieces of information that happen to be on the other side of that. And so this is because the universe is inside of us and it's all happening and not happening at the exact same time. Okay. Cool. Awesome. So okay, so everyone who is not in the current ISIS initiation program, thank you for joining today and thank you for watching and hanging out. And I am excited for your downloads and to see what comes about for you and what shifts happen. And so I am offering a gift session. And so I'm going to put the link in the chat. And just wait 1 second. Oh, of course. Okay. So I'm going to put the link in the chat for your free gift session. Okay. And so the link is, Give me a second. So the link is earthmagicCoppercrowns.com/gift-sessions. And so I'll put that in the chat box. Oh, come on. Paste. There we go. Close. Okay, cool. Thank you guys for waiting while I try to multitask. That was interesting. Okay, cool. So superpower activation session. And what happens in this session is that we go into exploring things for you, and we go more deeply into what shamanism is, and to how to talk to your guides, and how energy works, and how that applies to you and your life, and everything that you've been doing and the path that you're on and where you're at with that. And so I guide you through a formal journey to go meet your power animals, and possibly go up to talk to the angels to get a healing, depending on how the session goes. So definitely click the link and book a session, and if that feels like the right next step for you. And also, if you're in Portland, we have psychic practice sessions that are starting back up, and they're going to be next Wednesday in exactly 1 week, so keep a lookout on those for Facebook event, which I'll be sending out soon. And then if you are not in Portland, or you are in Portland and you just want to hang out and talk about psychic stuff more, we are going to once a month, the psychic practice are going to be face-to-face in Portland, and then another time during the month they're going to be online. And so we can kind of get on here and hop on together and chat about different psychic topics each time. And so in those sessions, they will be more active, and they will be more facilitated, and you will have a lot of time to talk and to share and to collaborate on ideas. So the reason we're doing that, okay, so the reason we're doing that is because everything is true, and I'll explain that in just 1 second. Okay, so just recap. So if you're watching this webinar, you get a gift, so please go book a session for your gift. And if you want to join for psychic practice, like message me and let me know. Otherwise I'll be sending you stuff. So how did I do it? How did I figure out all of this time traveling, timey-wimey stuff? Okay, so basically what I was just saying is that everything, so what happens, one of the core rules in psychic practice is that everything is true. Okay, so when you get a spirit message and you feel the truth, everything is true, right? So this is how I found it, right? The answers are all within. So in that same actual trip, the same rock climbing trip with my friend, where the green truck story happened, on the way to there, we were listening to a podcast about flat Earth, okay? And in that podcast about flat Earth, so it was talking all about flat Earth and giving all of the proof of why the Earth is flat. And my friend who works for Intel, I'm not sure exactly what he does, but he's like super sciencey, right, and knows stuff. And he was giving me all this counter evidence that the Earth is round. So I was like, okay, the Earth is flat and the Earth is round. So clearly you couldn't have this much evidence if it wasn't true. And so what I realized is, by simple deductive reasoning, okay, so the Earth is flat and it is round. So if both are true, then what, right? So if both of these things are true, then what? And so I started to think, well, how do you get something that's flat to become round? And you spin it. Okay, so like knowing this led me to the toroidal sphere, and then this led me to realizing that it was the shape of everything, and it led to all the time travel stuff, and it led to answering so many things, and it led to me really understanding shamanism more deeply than I could have had I not understood that. And when you spin something that's flat, it's like both flat and not flat at the same time, right? The toroidal sphere. This is like the actual shape of everything. So you can do it too, okay? So you take all the truths, you see what you discover by disregarding the untruths. So you just research, you go learn things, and you go feel things out, and you will feel in your heart and in your solar plexus, your soul, in your solar plexus, you will feel what is true and what is not. And so this is called the heart filter. When you take information into your brain, into your third eye, into the brain, and then you send it down to your heart, and then through your heart it goes down to your solar plexus, which will give you a yes or a no. And then at that point you will be able to feel if something is bullshit or if it is truth. And so then you let go of everything that's bullshit, and you take all the truths and you go forward with the truth. And this is how you get like all the magic in the world, and it will bring you to the next piece and the next piece and the next piece, and such an unfolding. So like it's super exciting to watch everyone in their unfolding. Okay, so welcome to 4D, everyone. We've arrived to 4D, and so yeah, so with that, we close the 999 portal that also closes today. And if Meryl's still on, maybe she could tell us what that means, or we can Google it later.
Yeah, definitely Google it, because I only know some basic stuff about it. It's just whenever it's just like anything attached to whenever we get triple numbers, those are divine numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Those are physical signs of our guides being with us. And 9 is the final number. It's like your highest achieving things, or things are definitely coming to an ending.
Mm-hmm.
So this last week was pretty powerful with stuff happening for people. It's either things are good, it's like if you're resisting the change, things are not going to go well for you, and if you're going with the change, then it will go smoother. But I definitely like Google some things, because there's all kinds of information out there.
Cool, yeah. The 9.99 portal, because it's something, is that kind of degree or something, right?
Yeah, I don't know all the like the astrological
really
measurements
either,
science yet. That's like next on my list of continuing my astrology training.
Yeah, no, on your video,
it gets so deep.
Totally, I bet. On your video, when you talked about it, I just saw it had like the degree thing, so I knew it was a degree thing and had to do with like something like that. So it was cool.
Yeah.
Totally awesome. Thank you, Meryl.
You're welcome.
Cool. Okay, so thank you everyone for being here today, and please thank yourself for showing up for yourself today. And I am Christy Garvey, and I help dudes show up as the powerhouse of support for the partner of their dreams. And so now that's male dudes, chick dudes, binary dudes, and we all can support each other by showing up for ourselves to turn trauma into superpowers. So you've now entered the 4th density. So now go on and time travel.